If you are collecting Social Security and you're still working, or if you're thinking about going back to work, there is a rule that could be quietly reducing your benefits right now, and most people have absolutely no idea it exists until it's already cost them money. And with inflation hitting retirees hard over the past few years, more and more people who already started collecting Social Security are going back to work part-time or full-time just to make ends meet. That is completely understandable. But if you are collecting benefits before your full retirement age and you earn above a certain amount, Social Security will start taking some of your benefits back. Not permanently, and this is the part that almost nobody explains clearly, but temporarily, and with a very specific promise to pay you back later. So today, I am going to walk you through exactly how the Social Security earnings limit works in 2026, who it affects, how much you could lose, and most importantly, how you get that money back. Because yes, you do get it back. By the end of this video, you will know whether this rule applies to you, how to calculate exactly what it means for your check, and what decisions you need to make right now to protect your retirement income. Let's start with the foundation. Who does this rule actually apply to? The Social Security earnings test only applies to people who are collecting benefits before reaching their full retirement age. And for most people watching this, full retirement age is 67. If you have already reached your full retirement age, you can earn absolutely as much as you want from working, and Social Security will not touch a single dollar of your benefit. The earnings test simply does not apply to you. So if you're 67 or older, and you're worried about this rule, you can relax. It doesn't affect you. You're in the clear. But if you claimed Social Security early, at 62, 63, 64, 65, or 66, and you are still working or planning to go back to work, you need to pay very close attention to everything I'm about to say. Now let's talk about the 2026 earnings limit, the actual number that determines whether this rule kicks in for you. In 2026, the annual earnings limit for people who are below full retirement age for the entire year is $24,480. That breaks down to about $2,040 per month. If your earnings from work stay below that level, Social Security does not touch your benefit at all. But here's where it gets important. For every $2 you earn above that $24,480 limit, Social Security withholds $1 from your benefit. It's a 50% clawback on earnings above the limit. Earn $2 too many, lose $1 of benefits. Let me show you what this looks like with real numbers, because the math can be surprising. Let's say you claim Social Security at 63, and you're receiving $1,400 per month. That's $16,800 per year. And let's say you've gone back to work part-time and you're earning $34,480 this year. That's $10,000 above the $24,480 limit. Social Security applies the 50% rule. $10,000 over the limit divided by 2 equals $5,000 withheld from your benefits. $5,000. That's more than 3 full monthly checks gone, just like that. Instead of receiving $16,800 in Social Security this year, you would only receive $11,800. And Social Security doesn't take a little bit out of each check. They typically withhold entire checks until the amount is satisfied. So you might go several months receiving nothing from Social Security, and then have your checks resume when the withheld amount has been satisfied. That can be a real shock if you're counting on that monthly deposit to pay your bills and it suddenly stops showing up. Now there's a special rule for the year you first claimed Social Security that catches a lot of people off guard. And I want to make sure you understand this one. In the very first year you start receiving benefits, Social Security uses a monthly earnings test instead of the annual limit. This matters because you might claim benefits partway through the year, say in July, and you've already earned a lot of money earlier in the year from working. Without the monthly rule, all of that early year income would count against your limit, and you'd lose benefits for the rest of the year, even if you stop working completely after claiming. But with the monthly rule in your first year, Social Security looks at each month individually. If you earn more than $2,040 in a given month, that month doesn't count for benefits, but months where you stay under the monthly limit are fine. This is particularly helpful for people who retire mid-year. You can still receive benefits for the months where your earnings are below the monthly threshold, even if your total annual earnings are way above the annual limit. Now, here's the section of this video that I really want you to pay attention to, because it completely changes how most people feel about this rule. When Social Security withholds your benefits because of the earnings test, that money is not lost forever. It is credited back to you in the form of a higher monthly benefit once you reach full retirement age. Let me say that again because it's that important. The money withheld is not gone. it comes back to you. Here's exactly how the payback works. Social Security keeps track of every month that a full benefit payment was withheld because of the earnings test. When you reach your full retirement age, Social Security recalculates your benefit as if you had claimed later than you actually did, by the number of months your benefits were fully withheld. So let's say Social Security withheld 6 full monthly checks over the years because of your earnings. When you reach full retirement age, your monthly benefit is permanently increased to account for those 6 months. It's not a lump sum payment of everything withheld. It's a permanent increase in your ongoing monthly benefit going forward. And that permanent increase lasts for the rest of your life, which means if you live a long time, you could actually end up receiving significantly more in total than if the withholding had never happened. Let me show you this with real numbers so it clicks completely. Say Social Security withholds 12 full monthly checks from your benefit over several years before you reach full retirement age. That's 12 months of withheld payments. Social Security treats this as if you claimed 12 months later than you actually did. For someone with a full retirement age benefit of $2,000, having 12 months of withholding credited back adds roughly 6.7% to their ongoing monthly benefit. That means instead of receiving $2,000 per month at full retirement age, your benefit gets bumped up potentially to around $2,134 per month permanently. Every single month for the rest of your life, you receive $134 more than you would have otherwise, because of the credits earned from the withholding period. Now, the honest question is, does the math work out in your favor overall, or did you still lose money? The answer depends entirely on how long you live. Sound familiar? It's the same break-even analysis as the claiming age decision. In the years when benefits were withheld, you received less than expected. That's real money you didn't have. But starting at full retirement age, your monthly check is permanently higher, and over enough years, that higher monthly amount adds up and surpasses the total of what was withheld. For most people who live into their late 70s and 80s, the math works out reasonably close to even. You don't lose, but you don't gain either. Where you might actually come out ahead is if you're still working and earning good income during the withholding years, because your combined income from work plus reduced Social Security may actually be more manageable than you think. And where the real value lies is in the peace of mind of knowing that the money isn't permanently gone. You're not being robbed, you're being delayed. Now there's a special set of rules that applies specifically in the year you reach your full retirement age, and this one is more generous than the regular rule. In the calendar year you turn 67, a different and much higher earnings limit applies for the months before your birthday. For 2026, that special limit is $65,480 for the year, more than 2.5 times higher than the regular limit. And the withholding rate changes too. Instead of losing $1 for every $2 over the limit, you only lose $1 for every $3 over this higher limit. So in the year you reach full retirement age, you get a much more generous earnings allowance and a much less punishing withholding rate. Social Security eases you out of the earnings test rather than cutting it off abruptly. And then, the moment your 67th birthday month arrives, the earnings test disappears completely. From that month forward, you can earn any amount and your full benefit is paid regardless. Now let me address the most important practical question. If you're currently working and collecting Social Security before full retirement age, what should you actually do? First, figure out whether the earnings test is going to affect you this year. Take your expected earnings from work for 2026 and subtract $24,480. If the result is 0 or negative, you're completely fine and you can stop worrying. If the result is positive, divide that number by 2. That's roughly how much Social Security will withhold from your benefits this year. Compare that withholding amount to your annual benefit. If they're close, you might receive little to nothing from Social Security this year, and you need to plan your budget accordingly. Second, notify Social Security. If you expect to exceed the earnings limit, Social Security wants you to report expected earnings at the beginning of the year so they can adjust your payments proactively. If you don't report and you go over the limit, you'll end up with an overpayment that they'll want back. Overpayments can be recovered by Social Security, reducing your future checks, sometimes by large amounts, and that can create real financial hardship. Being proactive and reporting your expected earnings is far better than dealing with a surprise clawback months later. Third, understand what counts as earnings and what doesn't. The earnings test counts wages from a job and net self-employment income. If you're still working as an employee or running a business, those earnings count toward the limit. But investment income does not count. Dividends, interest, capital gains from your investment accounts, rental income, Pension payments and other retirement income do not affect the earnings test at all. This is very important. If your income above $24,480 comes entirely from investments or a pension, not from working, the earnings test does not apply to that income. Only money you earn from actual work, a paycheck or self-employment, triggers the earnings limit. Fourth, consider whether it makes sense to suspend your benefits temporarily if you're going back to work significantly. If you haven't yet reached full retirement age, and you're going back to work at a salary that will far exceed the earnings limit, you might actually benefit from voluntarily suspending your Social Security payments. By suspending, you stop receiving checks, which also stops the withholding calculation. And for every month your benefit is suspended after full retirement age, it grows by about 0.2% per month. This is a nuanced decision that depends heavily on your specific numbers, but it's worth knowing the option exists, because some people are better off voluntarily pausing than having benefits withheld involuntarily. Fifth, if you claimed benefits within the last 12 months and you've had a change of heart, you have one more option. Social Security allows you to withdraw your application for benefits within 12 months of your first payment. You pay back everything you received, including any withheld amounts, and it's as if you never claimed. Your benefit record resets, your future benefit is calculated as if you never filed, and you can claim again later at a higher amount. This is a once-in-a-lifetime option. You can only do it once, and it requires paying back everything received, which not everyone can do. But if you claimed early, regret it, are going back to work anyway and can afford to repay, this withdrawal option could be extremely valuable for your long-term retirement income. Now let me talk about the emotional side of this, because I know the earnings limit feels deeply unfair to a lot of people. You worked your whole life, you paid into Social Security for decades, you started claiming your benefit because you needed it or because you thought it was the right time, and now you're being told the government is going to take some of it back because you're still working. I understand that frustration completely. It feels like a penalty for being productive, a punishment for not being fully retired. But here's the reframe that I think helps. The earnings test is not a penalty. It's a deferral. The government isn't keeping your money. It's holding it temporarily and giving it back to you in the form of a permanently higher benefit. The money stays in the system, working for you, and comes back with a payback built in. That's a very different situation than losing the money permanently, even though in the moment it feels the same. And the real lesson here is one of planning. If you know you're going to work significantly above the earnings limit before full retirement age, it may not make sense to claim Social Security early in the first place. Waiting until full retirement age eliminates the earnings test entirely, gives you a higher base benefit, and avoids the whole withholding and payback cycle. Let me quickly recap everything we covered. The Social Security earnings test applies only to people who are collecting benefits before their full retirement age of 67. In 2026, the annual earnings limit is $24,480. For every $2 you earn above that, $1 of benefits is withheld. In the year you reach full retirement age, the limit jumps to $65,480, and the withholding rate drops to $1 for every $3 over the limit. The withheld money is not lost. It comes back as a permanently higher monthly benefit once you reach full retirement age. Investment income, pensions, and other non-work income do not count toward the earnings limit. Only wages and self-employment earnings trigger the test. Notify Social Security of your expected earnings to avoid overpayments. Consider whether suspension or withdrawal makes sense for your situation, and always plan your claiming decision around whether you expect to keep working. If this video helped you understand how the earnings limit actually works, and especially if it helped you realize the withheld money isn't gone, hit subscribe, because every week I break down retirement money topics just like this in plain, simple English. Share this video with anyone you know who's collecting Social Security and still working. They may not know this rule exists and it could be affecting their check right now. I'm Bob, this is Retired Not Broke, and I'll see you in the next one.